This pedalboard has wireless and LED lamp, multi-effects, amp sim, and a stereo line isolator with a headphone preamp, and it can do all of that on one battery. Let's dive into this pedalboard build, and you might be surprised at some of the choices. It's quite a non-standard worship pedalboard. Most of you know me as a Line 6 gear enthusiast, with the bare minimum of the HX stomp on the board as the pedal interface. So for me, to build a non-Line 6 board is something new and exciting for me. A shout out to Rockstock Pedals for sponsoring a big part of this board. They inspired me to take up board building again. All the patch cables, the TRS cables, the 2-button aux switch, the bright switch, and the Nano tuner was supplied by them. Here's the overview. I start off with the Line 6 G10 wireless, which is being powered by the Rockstock bright switch, an accessory I'm finding to be invaluable not just for the really bright LED lamp, but the ability to supply clean, noiseless 5-volt power. If I'm not using the wireless, I can power my camera and ditch the batteries. That goes to a Boss LS2 set up as an A-B switch. On path A, I have the Rockstock Nano tuner, which is tiny, reliable, and bright. Tuner brightness is really important. In the past few videos, I've mentioned how the bright switch is essential for dark stages. Now on the flip side, there's one issue you might face in bright sunlight: not being able to see your tuner. Yes, you may be spending 99% of your time in the sanctuary, but that 1% of the time could be at an outdoor praise festival, an outreach concert, and you don't want to be the guy who's crawling over his pedalboard, covering his tuner from the sun to tune 1 minute before the first song. When engaged on path A, the signal terminates at the tuner, so this also functions as a rig master mute. On path B, the signal is sent to the input of the Boss MS-3, a multi-effects, switching, and control powerhouse. This is set up to handle all of my pitch, wah, modulation, and delay effects. I've expanded the control with this 2-button aux switch, and the Dunlop DVP Mini is functioning as an expression pedal and a volume pedal, which the MS-3 can seamlessly switch between. In one effects loop of the MS-3, I have my drives, the ZVEX effects double rock going into an Xotic SL drive, culminating at the Strymon Iridium loaded up with worship tutorials and tone junkie IRs. The signal exits in stereo from the MS-3 and terminates at this board's secret weapon, the True Joy Devices GI Steve, a stereo line isolator with a headphone preamp. This is a tricked out DI box that preserves my tone, provides extra utility in being able to ground lift, and allows me to feed a dedicated audio output to my camera to sync with video later. Special shout out to Tyler, the engineering mastermind behind this pedal. Thank you for sending this to me. It's a piece of gear that's permanently in my gig bags. All of this can be powered noiselessly with a True Tone 1-spot or even a Pedaltrain Volto, a high-powered Pedaltrain battery. If you've been observing my board, you're going to realize why I call it a non-standard worship rig. It doesn't have a compressor and a reverb. Let me explain. For me, the guiding principle as to pedalboard choices is this: sonic context. What sounds can my guitar rig provide that no one can? Are there sounds that I can leave off the board because it's already covered by someone else? In my case, I'm in a band with a very competent keyboardist who can provide all the ambient and ethereal textures. So if I'm using a super washy reverb, it's going to clash and muddy the overall sound.
But my guitar will be too dry,
I hear you say. Two things I'm doing to compensate for that. On my MS-3, I have an N-chain delay block that has a lot of high-end rolled off, giving it a gritty analog texture. When set to a moderate mix, this is my always-on pseudo reverb. Secondly, in my in-ear mix, I can turn on some master ambience on the IEM station to envelop the sound in my ears with some reverb just to get back some of that live vibe. As to why I don't have a compressor, I'm using the ZVEX double rock to fill in that role. A compressor lowers your dynamics by raising the low volume parts of your signal and shaving off the peaks. Overdrive as an audio phenomenon does that too, but grittier due to the clipping from the type of overdrive. Soft clipping sounds smoother, while hard clipping like fuzz sounds raw and fuzzy. Setting a low drive on one side of the double rock, it hits the front end of the Iridium hard enough to bring it to edge of breakout, and the soft clipping smoothens the tone. Because the Iridium and double rock respond wonderfully to pick dynamics, I can pick softly for compressed cleans and dig in for some grit. I then have additional gain options with the SO drive providing crunch, and the second side of the double rock set to a clean boost to drive the Iridium front end even harder for amp distortion. Which leads us to today's question: what pedals do you absolutely need on your board, and why? Would you be able to serve without the worship staples? Let me know in the comments. So there you have it, a pedal board that has a very high utility level and one that fits into the sonic context of my worship team. Let me encourage you to examine your sonic context. Just because everyone in your Instagram feed has a Strymon, Maris, GFI, or insert popular worship reverb pedal here, doesn't mean you have to get one. Ask yourself if your band really needs it, and if so, by all means, find the right washy reverb sound for your church. I also encourage you to see what gear you already have and examine it if it can fulfill the audio roles needed for your build. You may find that you don't need to spend more money on gear with a little knowledge and some experimentation. If you'd like to see this exact board being built and its individual components, especially integrating rock stock gear, do check out the linked video at the end, and I'll see you there.